Hello, YouTube. This is John, and today I wanted to discuss some things, so I decided to go live. And it's your boy Sogan, John. I'm going to be using whatever name you want, but today I decided to go live and discuss some things that I've been meaning to discuss for a while, and it's some enlightening stuff, and I've been wanting to. Help people with similar disorders or a disorder like mine. And for many of you who have watched my channels and been a part of my channel, you are well aware that I have bipolar disorder, and some of you are even aware to the extent that I was hit by a car when I was 8 years old, and therefore I have one kidney. Um, so my main focus is on the bipolar disorder, but with that other kidney brings other issues related to the bipolar disorder, such as what medications I can be on for my disorder that won't affect my kidney and my liver. Uh, so there's that. And throughout this process, I'm going to be smoking hookah while talking to you. I have my giant Gatorade that I make at home for health reasons. And we're going to go ahead and discuss that. I don't know whether you guys like me to have glasses on or glasses off, but I find glasses off, I prefer how I look with them off. Of course, that means I can't really see anything that's more than 2 feet in front of me. So, yeah, that's a problem. Anyways, so for those of you who know, I have been living with bipolar disorder. Well, it's hereditary, so it's passed down from father to child down the line. So, and normally it's passed down through the male bloodline, but that's not necessarily 100% accurate. So, you have most of the time it's genetic through males, but it's not always. So, me personally, I got it from my father, who got it from his father, who got it from his father, because it's not on my other side of the family, which is the Kaiser side. It's just on my Mitchell side of the family. Um, so throughout that, you know, we have been a little bit of struggling because you don't get diagnosed with it till you get older. And of course, with that, there's a bunch of other diagnoses I have. I have bipolar disorder. I have ODD, which is oppositional defiance disorder, which is described as I will be defiant or find ways to be defiant without really realizing I am doing so. I have ADHD, which is hyperactive attention I have attention deficit hyperactive disorder. So I have that. I have ADD, which is attention deficit disorder, and I have other things minor. I have anxiety and everything else like that. Now my blood work I just got done, and that's for a different surgery I'm looking to come up to hopefully do. Um, and that, of course, all that came back perfect. I don't have diabetes or early onset. I don't have a thyroid problem or early onset. I don't have any other. I don't have high cholesterol. I don't have high blood pressure. I'm not really sure what's going on with that, all that. And most of my weight is in my top abdomen half. Uh, so yeah, um, I'm getting that looked at, figuring out why it all rests in the top half, and it's like carrying around 120 pound, 180 pounds on the top half, or 200 or some odd pounds just in the chest area. You know, because my forearms, they're great. My back here isn't that large. My calves aren't that big, neither are my thighs, and I absolutely have no buttocks to speak of. There's just no fat there. So it's like to sit like this all day, all night at a regular workstation to begin with is painful enough because there's just no cushion for all this weight, and of course it affects my spine. So I'm getting that looked at, you know. Um, but with the bipolar disorder, because you can't diagnose it until the kid reaches a later age because everything else is chalked up to childhood angst and they have to do a lot of watching you and studying you and everything like that. You don't really notice it until well into your mid preteen, into your preteens, mid teenage years. And usually it's diagnosed because you're acting up more so than you would in as a normal preteen or teenager. And of course, there's two different types of bipolar. There's the bipolar disorder, and then there's the bipolar manic disorder. So if you take the normal level that everybody is behavioral at in their brain, okay? Because bipolar, first and foremost, is a chemical disorder in the brain. It's a chemical imbalance, okay? That affects certain parts of the brain but sometimes differently for each individual and sometimes the same, okay? So you take this level right here, okay? This is the normal chemical balance of the brain, okay? And we can sit at this normal level sometimes, okay? Same with bipolar manic, okay? They can sit like this all the time. But here's where the two differ. A normal person may have a low where they get sad right here, okay? But in a bipolar brain, the sad level becomes here or lower, okay? So same with the high. Normal people may have a happy high right about this range, but bipolar people have it in like this range, okay? So you go like that, okay? There's normally that and then the middle, okay? And what we do on this scale is bipolar people can go along this scale and stay within those two ranges and be perfectly normal for hours, minutes, days, weeks, months, okay? And without a single warning at any time, we can go way up here, which we're extremely happy, having a good time, for hours, days, minutes, weeks, months, even seconds. But we can also hit that lowest of lows for that same amount of time. Now, when you have a bipolar manic person, their swings are rapidly. They can stable out, but it's that constantly. Okay. Now, where it comes in with living with it is the chemical imbalance in your brain. Like for me, it targets my depression and my anger. And the way it was described is that the chemical receptors in my brain that receive the happy endorphins that keep me happy, not depressed, or from feeling sad, I don't have enough active receptors. So if it floods my brain with dopamine levels or things that make me happy, I don't have enough receptors to receive them. So my receptors either A get overloaded, which then I get too happy, where then it feels like I'm excited and I end up getting sick, or because I'll actually regurgitate because it's the same thing as if you get too excited, you'll regurgitate sometimes, and that happens. Or I'll end up not getting enough levels to the few receptors I have, at which point I'll become extremely depressed. And throughout that process, my depression can lead to an anger. And an anger I can't always control. But it's an anger I don't know why or how to explain. So that leads to confusion, which leads to anxiety. So growing up, I had to go through life and figure out what I can and cannot do. So that on top of everything, you have to figure all that out while going to school and while dealing with a job. So throughout this process, I found out jobs I couldn't do. I think I was before I was 18, I had at least 30 different jobs that I was fired from. A few of them I quit, but very few. Um, but I was fired from 30 different jobs because when somebody would say something, it would make me either sad or angry, and I'd want to quit. At which point, I didn't put in the effort because I'd be upset or angry or sad. For example, in Rapid, I worked at a Wendy's on East North, and at the time I was working there, there was some single parents who were getting all the hours, and I was 15, and I needed hours to save for what I thought I needed, which was a vehicle that I was going to be able to drive when I was 16. So I didn't think giving me a couple extra hours was too much because they're single parents and they also are getting hours, but I can only work a certain amount of time. So I was expecting to get all the time I could work as a 15-year-old worker. And the manager who made the schedule said, "No, I'm not giving you all that time." When I asked why, he said, "Because you don't have a kid and you're not a single parent. Get one and you'll get more hours." Which immediately upset me because in my brain that was very condescending. It was like, so I don't deserve a chance to save money and start getting my life on track. And at the time, mind you, I made $6 an hour. Oh no, Wendy's was paying 5.15 at that time. We hadn't reached 6 at the time. When I worked at Burger King at 14, I was making 4.15 an hour. Wendy's, I was making 5.15 an hour. So there's that. Because Rapid City's minimum wage and South Dakota's was 5.15 for quite a long time. So there's that. Um, so at that point, it was really difficult. Okay. Now that's not to say I haven't been somewhat successful at a job. No, I did get tired of a job I had. I worked at Taco Bell for 11 months. Now, I ended up having a kid and wanted to move on to something that paid more. But that was kind of a double edged sword because I did move on, but I ended up losing that job due to frustrations. Because on the phone at NEW, my numbers weren't quite right. I kept being called a girl, and I caused some problems. So that's a whole nother story of frustrations. But yeah. Anyways, so there's that. But it's really difficult when working. We have to work around people, and that creates a problem. But of course, the economy now creates a new problem for those of us on SSDI or SSI who are able to work not because we're physically disabled, but because we can work part time because of social anxiety or social problems. Um, Unfortunately, we are unable to fulfill even the part time amount of time we can work because everyone's pushing for a $15 minimum wage. And when you used to be paid under $10 by like $9 or $8 in South Dakota, because originally minimum wage was $8.15, uh, most recently. But now everybody's paying 10, 12, 13, 15, 17. My wife just got a job and she's making $17 an hour. Um, and we live in Sioux Falls now. Um, Finding a job that pays you that much money for part time work gives you part time hours with full time pay And for people on bipolar with bipolar and other disorders that require a lifetime of medication, then I'm sure anybody who has medication would realize uh, it's expensive. I take 3 meds, and I think each one of them for 30 days is over $1,000, or is between $500 and $1,000 for each pill. And if I'm making about 1,600 to 2,000, or 2,000 to 2,500, I think is the math I did actually. I think it's exactly 2,400 a month, just to be out there. Uh, then to make that and pay roughly $1,500 to $2,000 in meds every month is just, and then I have to give some of that money back. I have to put some of that money in savings and pay my rent, which is $750, and and replace what I'm no longer getting through SSI to that. It's a shame. It's not livable. Of course, the downside is that people on SSI who make what I make, which is 932 an hour, 932 a month, can't live off that without being married or having a second income in the household at this point anymore. Uh, Due to that, um, I personally, if my SSDI never changed for the rest of my life for the next 50 years, providing I only live till I'm 80, um, then I would make just under $700,000 my entire lifetime. And of course, the cost of living for those 50 some odd years is, I'm 33 now, so living for another 50 years, I did the math on, is like 2,400,000 and some odd thousand. No, it's 2,200,000 50. 2,250,000 and some odd, something like that. I don't have the paper in front of me. You know, for the next 50 years is what it'll cost to live for gas, transportation, and everything. My wife, if she continues to work at $17 an hour, make no upgrades, no positions, no upgrade in pay, and providing she keeps her job for the next 50 years, which is highly unlikely because eventually she'll get too old to keep that job because she's 31. She would only make $2 million. So, yeah. And the 2,250,000 was with no major surgeries and nothing to happen, and of course not paying for anything that should happen with my wife or any extracurricular activities put in the budget, such as holidays, Christmas, or vacations, or birthdays. That was an only necessities bill. So imagine how that is. And of course, what that does to somebody with bipolar when they add up that much information, it's extremely boring to think of. Now, going throughout school, it was difficult, and I'd like to cover that in the next video. Right now, I just want to cover that living with bipolar is a daily, minute by minute struggle. And anyone else who has it can tell you it's difficult to be around people, to be in large crowds, to be around family sometimes, to talk to people because the slightest thing can set you off. And of course, that makes it extremely difficult, you know. And you just don't know what to do with yourself at times. You don't know what to do, what to say, or anything like that. The difficulties for me were making friends when I was younger. So as an adult, I have no clue how friends are made. And because I couldn't make them when I was younger, I haven't transitioned into making friends as an adult. So through making YouTube videos and things like that, that's how I pretty much am working to socialize with people. And I'm branching off into Twitch and and TikTok and other things. My Twitch is Sogun626 on Twitch. Once I get it up and running again and regularly, you can find me there. And then my Instagram is also Sogun626. That's SOGUN626. So, there. I don't know about Instagram, but I'm going to try to make interesting, funny little shorts. I have 3 videos posted over there, so go ahead and take a look. Um, I'll probably post more and everything else. But if you like this video and you want to continue to learn how to deal with school, let me know and I'll make a part 2. This video would be longer and I would continue, but of course my laptop's dying and I'm not sure where the cord is at this time. Since I couldn't get my original video to upload from my phone and I'm still working on it, this is what I decided to put out for now. And hopefully I'll be able to get that video off, find it, and upload it. Now, I'd also like to say that dealing with people and dealing with coworkers and dealing with people in school and learning to to work with your own bipolar is extremely difficult. And the best way to deal with it, quite honestly, is find one true person who will deal with you no matter what happens, no matter what you say, no matter what your attitude is, whether they live right next door or they live millions of miles away. For example, I have my friend Anthony in Texas. He's great. We talk on the phone all the time. He used to live in Rapid, and I just talk to him about everything. My problems, my day. We make fun of each other. It doesn't matter. We joke about everything. And just having one person who gets you, no matter what, can make all the difference with your bipolar. And you just need one. From that point on, if you have that one, just find other ways to talk. Whether it's like me through YouTube, because I don't socialize well with people, or if you do socialize well, finding just a small group of friends you can deal with, and then hopefully branching out. And if you don't do well at the job, find out what job you can do that's pretty independent. Whether it's DoorDash, Grubhub, Food Dudes, something like that, or maybe it's working for the mail, the USPS, or the UPS, or FedEx, or something else that you can do, just you in a cubicle. Like NEW when I worked for them being tech support for DirecTV. You know, just find something that you can do on your own if that's your thing. And you know what? It's hard to grow up with it. And it takes a lot of willpower to stay steady and true and work on yourself. I know a lot of people who are in worse situations, well, better situations than what we've been in. We faced evictions, we faced job losses, we faced homelessness, we faced things all the time. I faced being lonely, and in high school, I couldn't talk to girls. But after high school, I got brave, I built my confidence, I became a player, and I got married after that became boring. So, and I have a kid now. So it gets better. It's better not to off yourself because I've had a few people I know do that because they thought it got too tough. Just don't do that. Don't decide to do that, and you'll be right as rain. And also, the last thing I want to put out there is make sure you're having fun. No matter what it is you're doing, try to look at things in a fun light. Everything you do can be looked at as fun. You just gotta find the silver lining. Okay? And make it fun in your way. And if you aren't learning things your way, figure out how to teach yourself so you get it and figure out how to do things your way. May not always be the correct way according to guidelines or standards, but as long as it's safe and it's fun and you know what you're doing and you can do it your way. 100% make things a lot easier. Anyways, let me know if you guys want a part 2 about how to deal with education and figuring out how to learn if you're having problems with that. It'll work for normal people as well. I got a lot of views on it because I didn't learn anything in school, but after school, I'm like a jack of all trades, a master of nothing, but I know a little bit about